Chapter 50. Silence and Fear. Canterlot Castle was eerily silent. Ponies had been expecting day court to occur as normal, though the first to arrive were informed that Princess Miyamori Cadenza would be taking over the duty for the foreseeable future, as Princess Celestia was temporarily away from the city. Those first ponies would be disappointed a second time, however, when they were next informed that Princess Cadence was unable to take any requests that day, and would also be indisposed until stated otherwise. All requests were therefore to be held off until day court would resume at an indeterminate date and time. The ponies who had come to the castle were all rather disgruntled by this, but there was nothing they could do about it. Some understood that, with the war going on, they had more important duties to take care of, while others believed themselves to have been wronged in some way and required more persuasion to leave the castle. They were all cleared out, however, and the guards at the gates were informed to deny access to any pony not in the know about the change of plans. The princess's departure, alongside the shield over the city, hadn't helped the amount of ponies willing to walk the streets in plain daylight, or in the night for that matter. Not even the changelings taking refuge within the castle seemed particularly willing to leave their rooms, so only the occasional guard or servant could be seen walking the halls. The usual hustle and bustle of nobles and other such ponies was simply non-existent, a grim reminder of the times they lived in. Especially for the two captains alone in one such hallway. I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around the princess up and bailing on Canterlot, Vladimir remarked in irritation.
She didn't bail on anything. The princesses are her family, Broadsword pointed out. She needs to make sure they make it back in one piece.
Yeah, I get that, Vladimir replied honestly. I just don't feel easy without at least one living weapon of mass destruction in our capital.
If it makes you feel any better, they have 17 to our 3, Broadsword remarked snidely. 19 if you count the princesses. Oh, and 20 if you count the Empress. Do you want me to add Princess Flurryheart to our side's count?
No thanks, Vladimir groaned. And if this is your idea of making me feel better, you're plain out evil.
Well, if Serpens was anything to go by, I do make a sinister villain.
Actually, I never considered that Broadsword to be all that sinister. Just an idiot, Vladimir shot back. At least before I knew he was a changeling, rather than some xenophobic moron with a vendetta.
I'm offended you thought so low of me.
Vladimir smirked. Oh, I still think low of you, just without the xenophobic part.
You're charming people, you bat ponies.
Vladimir laughed at that. I'm glad you took notice. But anyway, let's hurry on out before we have to get back on duty. The commanders have their fun for a while.
You have an odd definition of fun,
Broadsword noted. Where are we head to anyway? Vladimir asked.
Scarlet says she's sick of being cooped up and fancies donuts, Broadsword informed him. So, Pony Joe's it is. If he's still open, anyway. A lot of ponies have been closing up shop lately.
You kidding? Donut Joe's always been open through thick and thin, Vladimir stated, reminiscing on some pleasant childhood memories of visiting the shop with his other Thestrafels deep into the night. Remember that Storm King guy? He sold some to his troops.
I generally try to forget that, thank you,
Broadsword deadpanned.
It's just another reminder about how bad it is no longer to have changeling allies.
We still have some, Vladimir pointed out.
Are we going for donuts or what?
Juvenis asked impatiently, reminding her parents of herself, but younger.
I've got a whole list of variations to eat up, and the quicker we get started, the better. Just don't make yourself sick, dear,
Panacea said, patting her daughter on the head.
You'll only regret it later. Please, I'm going to savor each and every single one,
Juvenis replied.
I really need to petition Queen Twilight for a donut shop at the Hive.
Whenever she wants donuts, she just goes to Pony Joe's, Cardus stated from his position by the window, looking out from their room into what laid beyond. He even acquired some of those love-infused smoothies she loves so much just for when she visits. They go way back, apparently. Never been myself.
I wouldn't mind a real restaurant,
Panacea said.
I've heard some places in Canterlot have a good selection on their carnivorous menus. Somewhere needs to cater to griffins and changelings.
Nah, it's a treat.
Cardus pointed out as he stepped away from the window and towards his family.
By the Hive, I think we all need it.
Panacea had to concede that point to her husband. Recent times had been anything but free of stress. Such, she decided that Cardus was right, and supposed that the troublesome teenage changeling she called a daughter could gorge herself to near death on donuts to her heart's content. She was just lucky her mother was a trained medical professional, ready to deal with the aftermath.
Whose idea was it anyway?
Scarlet Snow's, he informed his wife. She takes her cult there all the time. It's his favorite, so I suppose he has that in common with the Queen.
Maybe we should save her some.
I'm sure she'll find her way there one way or another, Empress or no Empress.
Cardus joked.
If the world is saved by a donut, though, I swear I'll eat my metaphorical hat.
I'd pay good bits to see that.
Panacea responded with a giggle.
I'd even buy the hat, so it's not quite so metaphorical anymore.
Sprawled out on the bed, Juventus gave an indignant groan.
Are we going, or shall I leave and let you two take the room? Juventus!
Both Cardus and Panacea scolded. Away from the two embarrassed changelings and their unrepentant daughter, the bearers of the elements of harmony gently trotted down the street alongside Spike the Dragon. Much like the castle at the city's peak, Canterlot was all but a ghost town. The houses around them were shut up tight, curtains and blinds closed, with only the occasional pony eyeball poking out through them, half expecting a changeling to peer right on back.
Whew. All this place needs is a tumbleweed and it'll be set, Applejack remarked. And these here ponies haven't even tasted what the rest of Equestria has.
They're not exactly unfamiliar to attacks, though, are they?
Rarity grimly pointed out.
More than a few made a go at it, even if it was some years ago now. And in this case, it's not entirely a bad thing that they remember, darling.
I suppose it does mean fewer ponies out in the open if the rooster does fly into the kitchen,
Applejack conceded.
Oh, that sounds messy,
Pinkie Pie commented.
Well, Twilight and Draco's changelings have locked themselves in their rooms, practically.
Spike added in.
Can't really blame them. If a dragon overlord returned and could take over my mind with a thought, I'd also think twice about stepping outside, you know?
They gotta protect their kin, I get it,
Applejack agreed.
Ponies are the same way.
Ponies are herd animals by nature,
Spike noted.
And with the hive mind, the changelings are even closer.
Fluttershy stated, almost feeling happy for them on a normal day.
Like one big family.
If you're lucky enough to get with the egghead,
Rainbow Dash commented.
So, does that make the Empress the big, fat, scary aunt no pony likes?
That would explain why she's so grouchy,
Pinkie Pie remarked, still bouncing along as per usual.
I don't think she cares all that much, Pinks,
Rainbow deadpanned.
I'm sure Twi's given her every chance to be friends by now.
Maybe,
Applejack said to the Blue Pegasus.
but maybe not. Twilight's always been a little darker since her mother up and dad. Especially if you make her angry.
Rainbow shrugged.
She's always seemed the same to me. Maybe a bit more regal.
We are her friends.
Rarity pointed out.
Of course she would be like that around us. She's comfortable. And, I don't think she has any reason to be angry on a normal day.
Fluttershy concurred.
But can we talk about something happier? I could explain the huge party I'm going to throw the changelings when the Empress is defeated.
Pinkie Pie stated.
But it's a surprise party for a reason, so shush!
Well, simmer down, ponies and dragons. We're here,
Applejack stated, pointing towards the establishment where they had once spent their failed best night ever. Entering Pony Joe's, they found the place devoid of customers.
The only soul in sight was Donut Joe himself, standing behind the counter with his muzzle buried in some magazine or another. "Hey, Joe," Spike called out, walking up to the counter. Donut Joe looked up at the dragon, recognition lighting up on his face as he casually threw the magazine into the bin. Well, Spike the Dragon," he greeted. "Been a while since the Queen's humble assistant honored me with his presence, though I hear Twilight isn't around anymore." Spike chose not to answer that, instead motioning towards the mirrors behind him. "Table for 6, please." Donut Joe gestured towards the empty shop. "Take your pick. I'll be over in a moment to take your order. Half price for all of you." "Thanks, Joe," Spike said to the stallion before taking up residence at one of the larger tables with his 5 friends. Once they were all sat down, Donut Joe disappeared into the kitchen to do something or other. Spike didn't really pay any attention to that, instead focusing on the mirrors sitting alongside him. They sat in a rather awkward silence for a few moments, causing Spike to sigh as his gaze drifted on from them out the large window at the front of Pony Joe's.
So, we just getting a huge bundle to share?
Rainbow Dash inquired.
I mean, it's half price, so why not?
"I don't see why not," Spike responded. "I need a coffee or something, though. Caffeine of any sort'll do, really."
I think I'll just have some water, please.
Fluttershy said. Rainbow Dash grabbed and looked on at the drinks menu, trying to decide what to have before spotting something that caused her to recoil a little.
What? They do those toxic love drinks here?
"Joe got them from the Hive," Spike explained. "Gives Twilight one free whenever she visits. Sells them to the rest of the changelings." "Thank goodness he does. I could use one," Cardus remarked as he walked into the establishment, his family with him. Alongside the changelings were Broadsword, Scarlet, Valiant, and Vladimir. They all seemed pretty surprised to run into the element bears as they had. "Fancy meeting you here," Cardus stated to Spike specifically. "Needed donuts," he replied simply. "You?" "Ditto," he explained. "And Uvenus was having an aneurysm." Uvenus huffed.
Was not. Wow, a dragon!
Vladimir declared enthusiastically as he hopped up onto the table and stared at Spike gleefully.
Can you breathe fire and doom to all the baddies?
Yes and yes, Spike responded in bemusement. "Valiant snow, I would presume." Valiant made an O shape with his mouth.
You know my name?
"Your dad has a lot of things to say about you," Spike remarked. "Good things, mostly."
Did he tell you how I'm going to be in the guard someday?
Okay, Valiant, let's not bother the nice Drake,
Scarlet said as she levitated Valiant onto her back, the colt crossing his arms in annoyance.
Isn't he getting a bit heavy for that?
Rainbow Dash asked the unicorn mare.
Maybe, but then it's a good thing I haven't lost all that EUP training and strength,
Scarlet rebuked.
You should know, Miss Dash.
Yeah, just Rainbow Dash is good.
So, what's going on with today's court?
Rarity asked curiously, leaning forward to get the scoop.
I heard around and about that the princesses are indisposed.
You should probably ask Shining Armor that question,
Broadsword suggested as he lifted his son from his wife's back and onto the ground.
A few things have happened since you got to the city.
Anything we can do to help?
Applejack inquired.
I don't think so. Sorry.
Well, alright. Not sure I'm a fan of just sitting around, though. Those changelings hurt my friends, and they burned my trees to the ground.
I think we're all feeling the pressure, Vladimir said. Not too much of a waiting fan either, but it's all we can do. It's the general's job to coordinate the EUP. We just run the Royal Guard.
I know, I wasn't blaming y'all.
Applejack assured.
Just mighty stressful is all.
For all of us,
Rarity added in. Cardus nodded. Agreed. Well, what's this? Donut Joe asked as he emerged from the kitchens. More friends of yours, Spike? I, of course, can recognize the captains of the Royal Guard, but who are the rest? I'm Cardus, Cardus greeted. This is my wife Panacea and my daughter Euvenis. I used to serve as the captain of Queen Twilight's royal guard.
Ah, I see,
Joe said as he hummed and thought.
Well, any friend of Twilight Sparkle is a friend of mine.
It's appreciated, Cardus thanked him. Donut Joe nodded before looking towards the others, and though a moment of studying them allowed recognition to light up on his face, the Scarlet Maned Mare began introductions anyway.
I'm Scarlet, and this is my son Valiant.
She introduced herself to the stallion whilst gesturing to the colt on the floor.
But we have been here before, so I'm sure you remember that much.
Well, of course I remember. I remember all my customers,
Joe assured the mare. You're Captain Broadsword's family.
That's right,
Broadsword confirmed.
They are.
I see. Well, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. We're all family in here, Joe remarked. Make yourselves comfortable and pick whatever you like. Same offer as for everyone else, half price. They all did just that. And for a while at least, they were able to put the war behind them.